So I've always wondered if there was something in the Mexicano folk cultural history where this thing is based from. But my experience in growing up in Tulsa in middle schools, all the Mexican students, or the cholos, the kind of the gangster students, as they would like to show themselves to the other students, the males, they all wore these shirts that depicted very rough-looking gangster men with clown faces and noses on like fluky cars with women in bikinis. And I'd always ask my my Chicano friends, and they didn't know the history behind like where these clown figures. And I always thought it was so weird or queer that these big tough cholo guys were wearing these.
Smile now, cry later.
Shirts.
Sure. Oh, I mean, come on. The duality between the happy clown and the sad clown. Doesn't that go back to Pagliacci? Doesn't it, goes back to days of opera? What it is specifically, it's lowrider culture. Out in Southern California, we have surf culture, so people dress how surfers dress. Lowrider culture is something that's usually used by cholos, and so you dress how that lowrider culture has it. So you'll have the huge shirts. You'll have it could be women in bikinis, or Aztec warriors, or clowns, or Mexican revolutionaries, and usually you'll have a saying based on an old oldie song like "Smile now, cry later," working on a groovy thing. You have the socks pulled up really high. You have the shaved heads. It's part of lowrider culture, but lowrider culture, it descends from prison culture. There's actually been anthropological studies done on this. Why do Mexicans men like to wear dicky pants or cargo pants? It's because in the 1940s, or the whole thing with lowriders and zoot suits, because in the 1940s and 1950s, that's how the prisoners in California, they were dressed. They were issued cargo pants. They were, you cut your hair really short. You come back, to your body or wherever you're from. You still dress like that, and then your younger brothers or your children, they start dressing like you, and it just starts, going on from generation to generation. So I personally think it's kind of a goofy way to dress as well. But wait, before I finish, I think it's kind of a goofy way to dress that everybody dresses like that. But hey, you know what? I dress like another genre, the Chicano hipster. We all wear Chuck Taylors, and look at what I'm wearing right now. Or Doc Martens. I have my pair of Doc Martens as well. So it's just different strata of Mexicans. And then, of course, the less assimilated Mexicans, they wear the Stetsons, the Tejanas. I'm not going to wear a Stetson because I look like a fool. But the rest of my cousins, they can sport it as well. It's just part of whatever strata you belong to.
Specifically, though, I wanted to know is that the character of the clown, is that coming from any culturally significant character in Mexicano?
A specific Mexican character of a clown? Not really. I mean, there's been Mexican clowns. ¿Cuál era? ¿Capillín? ¿Cómo se llama?
Cepillín. Everybody.
Yeah. Cepillín, Cantinflas, but not really. Hasn't somebody's nodding their head no in the back? No?
Okay.
Okay, never mind.
Well, I think we have time for one question, and then some final comments over here. He had his raised hand, even though he came in late.
I did come in late.
Yeah,
sorry.
but I'm gonna give you the opportunity, all right? Just because it's you.
It's much needed injection of humor and biting satire in this area that we don't get a lot of.
Yeah.
Some unresolved issue with Guatemala.
I'll give you two answers. The wannabe humorous one and then the real one. The wannabe humorous one is that I'm jealous of Guatemalans because the Mayans are superior to the Aztecs.
Exactly.
Your tamales are better than ours. If you haven't had Guatemalan,
You haven't been to South Mexico, guys. No, you haven't been to South Mexico.
No way.
don't hate.
Hey, can you please lock the doors over there? He's not leaving tonight.
Don't hate if you haven't eaten. Trust me. And then the quetzal. Let's admit it's a prettier bird than the brown eagle. It's absolutely true. That's
Or the sopilote.
That's the humorous attempt. But then the real attempt, the reason I pick on Guatemalans is the column is just plain and simple a satire on so many levels. It's a satire on American, the advice column, it's a satire on ethnic relations, but it's also a satire on just the progress of American ethnicity, or this twisted logic that Americans have when it comes to assimilation. So, what is the traditional American assimilation story? The immigrants come in, they get beat up by people above them. Those immigrants make it, but do they learn their lesson? No, they beat up the immigrants that follow them. So what happened? And you could trace it from the Irish were beat up by the English, the Irish beat up the Italians beat up the Jews beat up the Poles. Everyone's beating up on Mexicans now. So if we follow American assimilation trends, I guess we're supposed to beat up somebody, and that would follow the Guatemalans. But then, on a very serious note, let's not forget that Mexico, the Mexican government, it loves to tell the American government, you have to open up your borders, we need free migration. But when it comes to our southern border, we have that locked down, clamped down. A great documentary, if you folks here don't have it, you should have it. It's called Wetback, the Undocumented Documentary, and it tracks 4 Central American immigrants. They start in Honduras, they go through, El Salvador, and then Guatemala, Mexico, into the United States. And the most harrowing part of the journey, it's not up here in the United States, it's when they pass through Mexico. And they interview a Jesuit who runs a shelter for all these undocumented Central American immigrants. And he says flat out, the American Border Patrol, they treat Central American immigrants better than Mexican Border Patrol treats the Mexican Border Patrol. So I'm not going to pretend in my column and say Mexicans are all perfect. No, we could be as bigoted and frankly as foolish as anybody else. And if I have to show that by making fun of Guatemalans every week, I'll do it. Again, it's satire. I obviously don't believe it. And I think Mexico, if it can't play a game of, you should accept all our Mexicans in the United States without telling Central America that we'll accept your immigrants as well. We need, when it comes to these issues, we need to all be united on that particular fact.
¿Quieres más o quieres que te enquise un huevo? No, first I want to thank Gustavo. Thank you. Let's give him a big round of applause. Also Nina Arellano, thank you. The question that Sara Martinez.
And really briefly, there's books for sale right there. I'm going to sit down on that. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it. Your questions were amazing. And we could talk there individually. I'm sure some of you have to go home, but if you want to talk to me and just speak individually, I'm more than happy to. So thank you so much.
Gracias.